Hey gang. Now, I have to imagine that at this point, you might be tired of seeing cowboy hats on every living thing in the Magic universe. Today we're going to go back to basics with dragons, dinosaurs, and graveyard shenanigans. You're watching Head Games. Friends, opponents, dragon enthusiasts far and wide, thank you for joining me today in the arena. My name is Jetterex, and today we're going to be playing a Rakdos list in Standard on Arena. So here is the list. I want you to know I designed this list based entirely around two cards, starting with Terror of the Peaks. So this is a reprint from Outlaws of Thunder Junction, originally an M21, 3 and 2 red, it's a 5/4 flyer, has a weird pseudo ward, spells and opponents cast targeting Terror of the Peaks cost an additional 3 life to cast. Most important text is the bottom line there. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Terror of the Peaks deals damage equal to that creature's power to any target. So get a lot of creatures on the board at the same time, fling a lot of damage to lots of different targets. Most of the time it's going to go to your opponent's life total, right to the face. That's preferably where we're going to see those things go. So Terror of the Peaks meets push-pull. So the second half of pull is put up to 2 target creature cards from a single graveyard under the battlefield under your control. They gain haste until end of turn, sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. So 2 Terror of the Peaks in your graveyard, a successfully cast pull, does 10 damage to your opponent's face and has 2 5/4 flyers hasty coming at them. So under the right circumstances, this is a one-shot. Setting up for this means surviving the early game in the very fast standard meta right now. So we have a Rakdos Midrange shell here with some usual offenders, Blood Tithe Harvester, Deep Cavern Bat. Now we have some interesting choices in the 2 and 3 drop slot because I tried to jam in as many creature-based removal spells as I could, so 4 copies of Blood Tithe Harvester, 3 copies of Trumpeting Carnosaur, and then our new friend over here, Harvester of Misery, which can be discarded with 1 and a black to give target creature -2/-2. Also has an ETB that gives all creatures -2/-2, very relevant for certain matchups. I like this card. I actually think that it may make sense for this deck to be running more of them, because we really want to put creatures into the graveyard in whatever way we can. So in the interest of doing that, we have the blood tokens from Blood Tithe Harvester. We're also running 4 copies of Big Score to discard a card, draw some new cards, get some tokens, hopefully ramp us into that pull that's going to finish the game. This plays like a mid-range deck. Again, as I've said many times in the past, I am effectively a mid-range player. I'm always going to lean towards this archetype unless I have a really compelling reason not to. There's probably a more combo centered way of building this deck, but we're going to play the mid-range version today and see how it does. So I hope you enjoy it. Stick around to the end for the wrap-up. Cudlicky makes me think of cows, so we're going to assume that our opponent is a farmer, which is pretty neat. You know, we need that. So I got 4 playable spells in my hand if you count the discard effect of Harvester of Misery. I'm not really fond of the fact that I only have 1 color of mana, but I do have all this interaction to play with. We're going to go ahead and keep this and see what happens. Mono black for our opponent. There is the Tiniest of Bones. We draw another swamp. Case of the Stash Skeleton, so probably a skeleton deck. Mr. Tiny Bones gets in. So now I have a lot of different options because I drew yet another card that I can cast. We're going to play the other swamp. We'll hold on to the Takenuma as long as we can. So you control no suspected skeletons. So it's safe for me to kill Tiny Bones at this point, and it's probably preferable to playing a bat because they'll just remove the bat and probably cast it on us with Tiny Bones. So I think we might actually be in a position where it makes. We have 4 push pulls in the deck, so it is okay to use the first one as a removal spell, especially when we don't have any. You know, where it's going to be a while before we get there. Corpses of the Lost. Alright, remind me what this does. Skeletons are hasty. Makes a skeleton. If you descended, you can return it to your hand. Okay. So now we have to play Takenuma. And we have to draw a red source or we are going to die very quickly. So I think our only play here is bat. I really want to hold the harvester to see if I can remove their whole board. Okay, so Giss is a long way out. We're going to make them use murder. I guess murder and go for the throat are effectively the same card. So we want them to use the cheaper one on the bat. I don't know that there's a great choice there. Let's just see what our opponent draws. We're not going to block. They're not going to do anything either. I don't love that. So let's get in with the bat. Really unclear what's right here. I think I just have to remove one of their creatures. We're gonna Bitter Triumph the bigger one, discarding the terror. Doesn't feel great, but it is about, I think it is the only line that makes sense here. I really want to save the Harvester because this is a go wide deck. So, okay. Okay. Starting to feel like we just lose. So I can't save the Harvester anymore. Yeah. Cult's Conscript is an interesting choice in this deck. I suppose it is just a skeleton that's a 2/1. So we're not blocking. That's not a thing that's going to happen, so we're just going to say go. We're going to remove the Cult Conscript. Removing the suspected skeleton turns on case of the Sash skeleton. Oh boy. Oh yeah, we're done for. There's our red mana finally. If I had drawn that any time sooner, we might be having a different game here. So they have a removal spell in their hand, so I'm fairly certain that I just lose here. All right, is there a way to not lose? Well, because, okay. Let's get our point in with the bat. Yep, they're gonna go for the bat's throat. Okay. Okay. Let's play our second Deep Cavern bat. Let's take the Corpses of the Lost. Let's get down Bloodtithe Harvester. So we live another turn for all the good that it does us. So they can remove the Bloodtithe Harvester, force us to block with the Deep Cavern bat. So I think I just block the Conscript here. Boy, okay. So once again, they've got them, they're holding up the murder, so let's force the... I'm surprised they're not killing the bat here, to be perfectly honest. So I have to do this now to see if I draw a land. We're going to pitch the second terror. Yeah, our opponent has the line, except they didn't use it. Fascinating. So we get to remove the threat, live another turn. If our opponent had murdered the bat on our end step, that would have been a very, very different matchup. So I don't have... So now, if they, yeah, now they're gonna murder the bat. So I just have to survive. Okay. Corpses of the Lost makes... Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Oh, I early good gamed because it's not it, because that enter's tapped. I'm still not dead. Yep, here's Gissa. Yep. Gissa makes some zombies, mills me a card, loses me a life. They're gonna get in with the conscript. I'm going to double block the conscript. I don't think that there's actually anything that I can draw that's gonna have me not lose next turn though. So I've been on my back foot for quite some time. And that is the actual good game. We're gonna let our opponent kill us. Tough loss. Banga. Banga. Okay. 2 bats for hand interaction. Virtue of Persistence to remove a potential creature. Terror. It's keepable hand. I wouldn't call it good, but it is keepable. Start with the tap land. Blue. Are we playing mono blue? I don't see this deck a whole lot. That's a ninja. Okay, so I think we just remove that because I drew a Carnosaur, so now I have removal into double hand removal. Impulse feels fine on your turn. Here's the network disruptor. Okay, so do I remove the network disruptor? I know what the deck is trying to do, right? Like the deck is trying to use ninjutsu to put things into play. So do I just stop them from being able to do that? It is the maximum use of my mana. I might actually be able to kill what they attack with. So let's do that. That might seem bad, but I'm very curious to see what they try to ninja in, because it's probably more important than that 1/1. There's Prosperous Thief. So now the question is, do they have something that will stop this? Fading Hope is acceptable. Okay, that is an excellent draw, because now I can Deep Cavern Bat, get a peek at their hand, see what we're working with. Okay, so Edit Glyph is pretty scary, especially on the Network Disruptor. Flow of Knowledge is very scary. So what are they doing next turn? They don't have a target for Zoetic Glyph. They're not just going to drop Prosperous Thief. They're probably going to play these two things out. There's a part of me that thinks I take the Spyglass Siren. Huh. I mean, I could just put the other bat down as well. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the Blood Tithe Harvester. I didn't consider that if they had drawn a land, they would have enough to to play the 1-drop flyer and also Zoetic Glyph it. Sure, tapping down my Harvester. Okay, so I strongly feel like I should kill that Disruptor. Let's do it and see how our opponent responds. Okay. So now they're on their back foot, so we're going to slam Terror of the Peaks and see if they drew a counterspell. They did not. Or they didn't use it. We're going to get in with Bat. Alright. So we're ahead by 2 lands. We're up on board. Our opponent has another bounce spell, it looks like. Yep. Not activating the map token seems very strange. So I can actually soak in Zan to do 2 damage at instant speed. We're just gonna play the bat. Remarkable. Okay. Well, now I'm gonna take the glyph. I think we're also gonna go ahead and play the Crucible and play the other bat. And we're going to take the Thief. Alright, so Carnosaur, Harvester in the graveyard. So I can pitch Terror of the Peaks to the blood token and pull and win. Yep. Our opponent got, you know, did not have the lands to keep up with us in that one. Good game. Old Smudgebur. So, lots of low-end stuff. Big score to get us into the back half of the game. This looks keepable to me. Alright, Smudgy. What you got, friend? You got Cacophony Scamp. That is... I mean, it could be a couple of things. That's probably the Gruul. Might just be mono red. Here we are. Yep. Got a pump spell? What are we doing? Alright. Take 3 more. We're at 15. Not getting rid of the Scamp just yet, probably. Okay. So... we're hurting ourselves to use our removal, which is a very bad place to be. So another option that we have is to play Cavern of Souls on Vampire and force them to deal with the Blood Tithe Harvester. I don't hate that line. Yeah, already being on the back foot like this feels very bad. So I want to take as little damage from my spells as possible, so we're gonna play a counterspell resistant Blood Tithe Harvester and then see what happens. Entirely possible that they have another removal spell, so we've got the Monstrous Rage here and then a removal spell. Okay, so let's do some math. If we block the scamp... I mean, we block the scamp, right? 2 gets through, and if they want to remove... Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we block the scamp. Okay, so I'm probably dead now. There's probably a lightning strike in their hand, so there's no reason to pretend like anything other than death is in my future. I suppose there's nothing stopping me from doing it instant speed. So let's hold up. See what our opponent tries to do. There's a Phoenix chick. So if they've got the other monstrous rays, we're just dead. Oh, we've got a 2-point damage spell. Here it comes. Can our opponent find the line? They found it! GG's, opponent. The Wonder Bat. Now, if this person's not playing a bat deck... So we're on the draw again. We actually have a fairly decent on the draw hand. We really do. Like, we've got both colors without hurting ourselves. We've got interaction, removal, a way to get back in the game. But our opponents are all playing mono red. Alright, so we're going to start with Restless Vents because I don't have a turn 1 play. Okay. So I don't have instant speed removal, so I'm definitely going to Virtue this Scamp. We're going to cast Virtue of Lockbane Sworn, I suppose. I always think of it as Virtue of Persistence. It's the best removal for the Scamp because they don't get the extra damage off. So our next play is probably Graveyard Trespasser. Our opponent is choosing not to play the Slick Shot for fear of it getting removed. Some fascinating things going on over here. Okay, we're going to play the regular land and get the Graveyard Trespasser online. I could use some more removal. Okay. 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 Definitely blocking. So if they want to kill the Trespasser, they lose their last card. Decide on face. Yes, Trumpeting Carnosaur is an excellent draw. There's no worry about color at this point, so whatever I put Caverns on doesn't actually matter. We're just gonna say Dragon. Gonna remove their Scamp, go back up to 12. We're gonna hold Trumpeting Carnosaur. I hadn't even considered that it was going to flip my Werewolf if I did that, but I'm incredibly happy about that accident. Here's another Slick Shot that they don't get to cast this turn. Alright, they're coming in with the team. The slick shot is getting trumpeted. So, Harvester of Misery. Alright, we are not going to stick on the Takenuma any longer. I could remove the Phoenix Chick and eat both of their creatures. It's not the worst idea I've ever heard. Let's start by casting Deep Cavern Bat, taking their Lightning Strike. That is not a spell. Okay, Slick Shot, Phoenix Chick. The tide has turned. Can you do me 13 damage? Okay. So I believe this is the time. This is the time. So if I remove my own stuff, which I really don't want to do, so I do 4, 5, 6, 7. It does a total of... I don't have a compelling reason not to, actually. And then the play is Terror of the Peaks. They have to kill themselves to remove it. Good game, Wonderbat. Taking down Mono Red after getting our butts kicked by Mono Red. The well-known hip-hop artist Illogical Emu. Yeah, good curve. All the mana colors are there. I don't have any targeted interaction other than Bloodhithe Harvester, but looks like we're playing Mono Red for the 3rd time in a row. Yep. So we'll just start out with this swamp and hope we draw mana sources that don't require us to use our legendary lands. 2 damage to my Visage? No? Okay. It's not Mono Red. What world are we living in? So if it's not Mono Red, I feel at least a little bit better about taking a damage from Bloodtithe Harvester. I'm suddenly excited because I don't know what I'm playing against. Okay. What is more important? Which of my lands? I think Takenuma is more important, so let's get our attack out of the way just to see what our opponent is doing. You're taking 3. So options are run out Trespasser into a possible board wipe because we're looking at white. Hold Trumpeting Carnosaur for something they are playing. I'm going to put the gas on. There are a couple of board wipes that get a 2-for-1 at this point. Let's see what they got. Play with fire for our Harvester. And that is it. Okay, now we have some very different options. So we're going to run out Takenuma. I'm not going to eat my own graveyard just yet. We'll get in for 3. I think we're going to hold up Big Score, which of course has the added benefit of making our werewolf bigger. So we're going to go for it, and if they have a counter spell, we're just going to accept it. They do not. Alright, now I think we're going to start running out bats. We will start by attacking. into a Wandering Emperor, probably. We are not going to eat our own cards. Okay. Bat number 1. Now we get to see what our opponent is doing. And if they don't want us to take a card, they have to kill the bat. Slick Sequence. You got it. Arcane Bombardment. Destroy evil. So our opponent's on some spicy drank here, so I respect it. So destroy evil is effective against me on one hand, but also really rather not on another. So I only have the one way to deal with Arcane Bombardment, so we're gonna have to take that. We'll play our tap land for turn, call it, and that's 2 spells. So it's daytime. Guess what's not going to be in standard much longer? What could they do? They don't have a lot of great options here. Yeah, so blow up the bat. Okay, I have so many. So they just destroy Terror of the Peaks if I cast it. But I think I can... Wait, this can go to face, right? No, 3 damage to a creature or planeswalker. It cannot go to face. Okay. So do I do this first? I'm trying to think if that matters at all. I don't think that it does. Now I'm going to do it because I'm much closer to it. So if I play Terror of the Peaks, they take 3 damage killing it. Yep. That's it. GG's. Maybe if our Emu had been more logical, they would have had better draws. Probably not, though. That's variance. Zero? I thought it only went down to number 1. Man. Literally the top person on the whole ladder. Gosh. What am I gonna do? I'm on the play. And because of Cavern of Souls, I can only cast 1 spell. So I think I have to mulligan this. Alright. So, better. I think I bin the push-pull. So... because it has the least impact in the beginning of the game. So we'll start on the tap land. I love mono red, and it loves me. Okay. This is actually a little tough because... no, we'll run out Harvester. Gotta get as much time with our buddy Blood Tithe as we can before rotation. Another Swift Spear. Removal spell? Yep. Our opponent over here is playing the budgetiest version of this deck, and the point is that it is still quite good. I think I just have to hold up Go for the Throat. I might also cycle Terror of the Peaks. There's the Slick Shot, not so budgety after all. Let's remove one of the Swift Spears. We've broken our opponent by responding to their play in the middle of their action. Yeah, we're gonna pitch the Terror. It's way too slow right now. That is interesting, although I really wanted to draw a land. Yeah, we're in trouble. Yep. Slick Shot's a 2/3. Well, here goes everything. If they have the Monstrous Rage, we are dead. Oh, we're not dead. Fascinating. Okay. Okay. Boy, fourth land would have made a world of difference here, and the fact that we don't have it means we're going to lose. The only chance we had of winning was outclassing our opponent. Yes. 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 Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 6, and if they fling a damage at my skull, I have to block here. Yep, that is a terrible game. Radagast the Brown. Removal, 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 terror. This is a keepable hand. Maybe even fair against mono red. It's not mono red. I'm not exactly sure what to do with that. We'll use the removal, gain some life back. I'm not entirely certain which makes more sense. Do I use the Trumpeting Carnosaur here? It's the maximum mana output, but I don't really know how much it matters. Gaining the life might make more sense here. Probably overthinking this. Let's think about it this way. I get to 6 mana before I get to 7, so there's a world where I cast Carnosaur without cycling it, and that makes that a little better. Our opponents have a mana trouble. That's exactly what we're looking for. We're gonna play this Blood Tithe Harvester. If they remove the Blood Tithe Harvester, okay, that makes my next line a lot easier. I'm gonna go ahead and pitch this Terror of the Peaks to see if I can hit a land drop. Perfect. Our opponent finds their third land. Handful of action. So Edit Glyph is solid. Okay, so again, couple of options here. I can remove the Zoetic Glyph. I'm not sure if that makes the most sense. Okay, so I take 5 next turn if they have another Zoetic Glyph. I mean, if I push it at this point, literally use the spell push on it, they get to get another thing that may or may not be just bunk. Putting Gix on the board gives them something to remove. It also doesn't feel great. I think I am going to play Gix, because I can take one more hit from that Zoetic Glyph and not feel too bad about it. The upside being, if I draw a 5th land, I can either play Carnosaur and cycle, or I can cycle both Carnosaur and Harvester. Our opponent gets a map token, puts a Drake on top, puts that in the graveyard. I can take 6 damage, not really worried about it. You're gonna remove Gix? Okay. Yep. Okay. Really need a land here. Okay, well, we have to remove this thing now. Let's see what they spin into. They spin into something that they cannot cast, which is ideal. I have an instant speed removal for whatever they play next, so I don't feel terrible about that. They can leave up a Mirrex activation, but it doesn't look like they're going to. Cryptic Coat. Fascinating. That is a tapped land, which makes me want to scream. So I actually can kill that face down thing. Or I can take 3 from it. I think I'm taking 3 from it. It's not the end of the world to take 3 from that thing. Forge. Okay. Forge makes things complicated. What do I have in my graveyard? I do have a Terror. Okay. So let's see what happens. Oh, I don't have a push-pull in my hand, actually, so I'm not... I'm over here like, oh, I can reanimate stuff, except that I don't have any ability to do that right now. Okay. So now the question is, do I remove the face-down creature? Because I can just cast this next turn and remove the face-down. Just taking 4? Let's take 4. Yes, there it goes. I wonder if I should be playing with at least one Abrade in this deck. Okay, so now I have Trumpeting Carnosaur with the Discover, and they actually can't kill the Carnosaur with Voltage Surge. Carnosaur is like a huge threat, so let's get that down. Terrible. Terrible. Worst possible draw. Well, because now they can kill the Carnosaur. Yep. I am going to block. Unless our opponent has something that will stop me. Which it sure seems like maybe they do. Just think if this Bitter Triumph were in a braid. It's a one of in the deck, and I actually don't know that Planeswalkers are present enough to make Bitter Triumph really matter. I put it in the deck because sometimes the discard is an upside. Okay, finally moving to blocks. We are going to block. They have to sacrifice an artifact to make the Voltage Surge do 4, so if they want to commit several resources to getting rid of the Carnosaur, I'm actually pretty okay with that. And? Yep. Okay. Okay. So. We play Harvester of Misery. On its front side. Okay, they pull Cryptic Coat back. See, again, Bitter Triumph is not really feeling like a great include at this moment. Sure. Yep. They decided to Voltage Surge my Harvester. Yeah, okay. So it's possible that they have a Lightning Strike in hand, and if they have it, they just win. I'm just gonna let it go at this point. Not what I expected. So, okay, Carnosaur has the capacity to hit something that is completely useless at this point. So if that happens, I'm in like a world of trouble. The other line is I play Terror of the Peaks, use Bitter Triumph, pitching Carnosaur. Because I feel like I have to kill Inti, because it's going to get card advantage for them. But I put myself empty-handed at that point with the Terror of the Peaks on the battlefield. That feels like I lose at that point. So... oh boy. Spinning the wheel. Bounce spell? Spell Pierce? Who plays with Spell Pierce? I'm 100% okay with that. Yep. Okay. So I have to kill the face down creature, right? Non-starter. All they need is a removal spell and I'm dead. Oh boy. Wow. Wow. Bieber 117. What are you doing, Bieber? Alright, 2 harvesters and a removal spell. Decent mana. We're going to keep it. Elegant Parlor means we're playing Boros, which is probably a pretty bad matchup for us unless we can find Harvester. We have revealed the 3rd color and a unstable glyph bridge. So we are playing against Jeskai artifacts. So we kind of probably want to go combo at this point. Our opponent is deducing things. Okay. We're going to give our opponent a reason to use their braided net. Tapping down our harvester. At least this is an interesting matchup. Glass Casket gets Gix. We'll play another. We are going to fire up our land. Pray that our opponent does not have a saw. Okay, they don't have a saw blade. That makes me feel way better. We're going to pitch this Terror of the Peaks. On the back, draw a card for each artifact you control, then put it back in your library. There's the smithy. Okay. We can just Bitter Triumph that, I think. Or maybe we save the Bitter Triumph, because those things are going to continue to get bigger as the game goes on. So here's the thing. If I play Blood Tithe Harvester, they can tap my other one in response. It does get them to use up the last braid, so at that point I Bitter Triumph it probably. Yeah, that's what we're doing. Yep. We're gonna pay 3 life. Okay. They do not have 5 artifacts for the 1000 Moon Smithy. Just 2 to craft that, not bad. They will kill our Blood Tithe Harvester. I think we're going to go for the combo. They're deducing on their main phase. Now they're going to flip the braided net. Yeah, do it. All right. This is it. One time. Here we go. Digging for push-pull. Not a push-pull. I mean, we still get a chance. The game is not over. They're just going to draw a whole bunch of cards from that glyph, so... I also don't have enough to just cast Virtue of Persistence here, so... I feel like if I play Harvester of Misery, it gives them a reason to try to board wipe, which might be a good thing. I could have also attacked with the Restless Vents, but I already missed that chance. So the question is, do I play this now? Oh, it actually kills my own creature, doesn't it? I'm going to hold on to that. I think I'm actually going to blood token that. Are we doing it? Is that better? It's not. Okay. Not activating the Thousand Moon Smithy. They're going to draw a bunch of cards, I think. Okay. Blockers on the battlefield. Draw your cards. Let's go. Come on. I mean, it doesn't do anything to remove that at this point. Or it doesn't do anything to cycle that at this point. Oh, so many chances. I can't believe it. So, do they have something that deals with Virtue of Persistence is kind of the question at this point. I honestly am not sure. Each player choose a creature power 2 or less and destroy all creatures except the creatures chosen this way. Okay. So, they do have board wipes. I am unclear. Man, I play against this archetype so rarely that it's really kind of fantastic to me to be sitting here trying to think of the different lines. This is much more exciting than any of the other games I played today. Okay. Veil of Simulation is a very interesting addition. Draw 2 cards, I imagine. Don't play the Braided Net. Okay. Okay. I still got a chance. I still got a chance. It's probably a really bad one, but I still got a chance. I take 4. So I have the chance to come back from this at this moment. They are only demonstrating 1 mana. So I'm going to bring a Terror of the Peaks back. And there's a push-pull. So we will cast Pull, targeting the other Terror and the Harvester of Misery. Target you. Target you. Target you. And they gain 3. Exacxies! Yes! So in case you were wondering, it is possible. So, how did we do today? Not great is the answer, and that is how the game goes sometimes. I must be honest, I wasn't keeping track. I fairly confident I lost more games than I won while sitting here today. I did get a lot of games in. I played mono red 3 or 4 times in a row and lost most of them because that deck is too fast for the way that I have this deck built, which makes me want to change things around because you have to be able to compete with that deck. I did finally get to do the thing that I wanted the deck to do. I didn't reanimate 2 Terrors of the Peaks, but I did actually bring one back with the Virtue of Persistence and then reanimate a Terror and a Harvester of Misery, which is exactly the kind of shenanigans that I am here for. So if you like Rakdos, I will admit this is probably not the best thing that Rakdos can be doing these days. I love Terror of the Peaks. I love to kind of come out of nowhere and win. So this deck is certainly capable of that. So it's very mythic heavy because Harvester of Misery is a card from the big score, so they are mythics. But I think we're gonna see this card. I think we're gonna see Harvester of Misery for the next 3 years that it's in standard. It's just now kind of picking up steam, but it's a great equalizer for those aggro decks. There's a part of me that feels like maybe it should actually be 4 copies of that card in this deck to be able to catch up, especially from certain archetypes. It can deal with some mono red creatures. It can deal with the Boros deck. A lot of go wide strategies are going to be knocked back quite a bit by a -2/-2 effect on a body. So anyway, the deck is fun. It's probably not as competitive if you're out here to really rank up on the ladder. I ended up in the same spot that I started today, so maybe a little bit higher, but that just has a lot to do with the way that the system is built. So great fun. Thank you very much for joining me once again. I am Jeterex here with you on Head Games. Tune in every week for another standard video along with our other content, including Commander with Randos and our podcast where my friend Zombie and I talk about all things Commander. So take care, be well, and we'll see you soon.